Hey Mañana No Mas family, I'm trying to use this Smooth mobile gimbal thing here, and I'll be honest with you, interacting with the GoPro and the phone and the gimbal and all this stuff, sometimes it just gets to be a bit of a distraction. And so I just turned the camera on, and I don't even know if it's, you know, the right frame, the right angle, the right whatever, but just figured I'd talk to you. So I'm out walking around the neighborhood. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. I cannot believe what a nice day it is right now. And the sky, I don't think I've ever seen the sky this crispy blue in Southern California ever. I mean, we've been here about 4 years, and you know, the mountain behind my house over here, Skyline Trail, which is closed because for some reason in California it seems like the first course of action is to always close down parks and recreation and things that people might be drawn to. And now with this pandemic thing, you know, obviously this is something that the government feels they need to control as much as they can. So let me just show you just how crispy clear the day is. If you look over my shoulder here, I'm going to try and get that point in the right direction. I hope you can see those snow-capped mountains. Now that snow-capped mountain is like, I think that's Mount Eagle or something like that. And it's pretty far away. I don't know, it's 60, 70 miles away, something like that. And you can see it clear as a bell with the naked eye, which normally you can't. You know, usually there's kind of a haze of pollution and like a brown cloud here, you know, because I'm kind of in the LA area. But it's just been beautiful. Right behind my house here where I live is right here, Skyline. That's Eisenhower National Park, and that's where I do a lot of my mountain biking. A lot of the training that I do is up there on the hill, and just crystal clear and beautiful and fantastic. I wish the trail was open. I'd probably go knock out 6 or 7 miles today on the mountain bike and go tear that up. I had a reason why I wanted to talk to you guys, and it's one that I feel a little weird talking about it, because it's one of those things where it feels like maybe you're patting yourself on the back when you shouldn't really be patting yourself on the back. This whole thing, this whole crisis, you know, I've been on the internet a lot. I've been making a lot of Facebook Lives. I've been putting a lot of content up on LinkedIn. I've been pretty active, I think. And it all comes from an area of staying calm or looking for opportunities within the disruption. You know, not being a greasy car salesman or something about it, but you know, just trying to kind of see what's going on, right? See through the haze, see through the nonsense, try to find some clarity, stay calm. And there are parts of me that are, you know, a little anxious, but we've been through this before. You know, I think back to when my family was living in Colorado and the first round of the recession happened to us, happened early. Was it 2005, 2006? Everything around Storage Tech there up in the Broomfield Boulder area just started to collapse. And all the housing in the area, I mean, house prices went down $80,000, $90,000. We had just bought a house. We were locked into an adjustable rate mortgage, and the mortgage company was showing absolutely no mercy at that time. And so we really had to deal with some stuff, you know. And just when you're ready to earmark yourself as a loser, as somebody that can't survive, you find out very plainly that if you just, you know, in my case, trust in the Lord and keep putting in the effort, not giving up, but if you just keep focusing on the potential, on the good, something will happen. It always works out. I tell people all the time, there's a group of young folks that my wife and I mentor at church, you know, and kind of the joke catchphrase I have with them is, it always works out. He always takes care of it. Don't sweat it. Whatever it is, don't worry about it. He always takes care of it. Now, I'm not saying you don't put in the effort. I'm not saying you just dismiss the idea that you have to do any work, but you know, you do the work and it works out. Might not always be the best thing. You might not always have a Lamborghini in the driveway if that's the way you're measuring things, I think honestly you're a little skewed. But it always works out. Your needs always find a way of being met, provided you keep your head on straight, you keep putting in the effort, and you keep doing what you know is the right thing to do. I think that's super important. Another thing that came up last couple of days actually is when the chips are down, people are watching. When the chips are down and things are going wrong, people are watching to see how you're going to react. I didn't realize this. Like when I lived in New Mexico, Heidi and I went through the recession a second time in New Mexico. We went through a lot of rough times. Beans in a pot, holes in the shoes, you know, counting spare change to be able to put gas in the car, to get to a meeting at a coffee shop you couldn't afford to buy coffee at, you know, to try and close a deal with somebody without looking desperate, right? It was those moments. We had to get through that. There was a time where we lived in the suburbs, we couldn't pay our utility bill, and we ran the house on a generator for like 3 weeks just so the food in the refrigerator wouldn't spoil. You know, and I know that there's other people out there that have experienced this, but you don't realize that people are watching. People are waiting and they're looking to see how you're going to react and how you're going to deal with it. And so we went through that. Now, one of my number one clients during that time was Ducati North America, the motorcycle company. I was a contractor with them and I was doing some training material. They ended up offering me a job and moving me to California, and it was right when business was picking up and things were starting to look good, and we had to make a decision. Do we chase the paycheck and the security and go to California, or do we continue to grow the business, which is actually starting to show signs of growth, and stay with that, right? Well, based on the situation that we had already been in, Heidi and I thought, well, let's chase the check. And I had called some friends that I trust, and I said, hey, I got this offer from Ducati and I think we're gonna take it. I think we're gonna move to California. And what was really interesting about that, remember I said, when you do stuff, everybody's watching. Everybody wants to see how you're gonna react. Everybody is, I don't wanna say judging, but they're keeping an internal record of what you're doing. And that time was one of the most humbling moments in my adult life. I had friends that were on the phone with me that said, oh my God, dude, that's amazing. You got the offer to go to Ducati. You're gonna go to California. Oh, I can't believe it. That's so amazing. What a blessing. And then they started volunteering information. And they would say things like, dude, me and my wife went through a really rough patch last year and we were thinking about getting a divorce. But then, you know, we saw you and we saw Heidi and we saw the way you guys were dealing with all the stuff that you had. You know, Rainey had gotten sick for a little while. We had to deal with that. You know, Heidi had Hayden. We wanted him in the worst way. You know, we worked like crazy to have that second kid. And then right after we had him, it's like everything just went to heck in a handbasket. And, you know, people watch that. They see how you react to things. And so the humbling part is people were telling me, hey, I almost gave up on my business dreams, or I almost quit my job, or I almost quit my marriage, but I saw how you persevered. I saw how you overcame difficulty. I saw how you know, related through this, and I knew that I could come out on the other side okay in that same way, in a much more transparent way. If I take this to a more modern time, right? Because now that's 2007, 8, 9, 2012. That's that. When I was at Ducati, I got fat, right? People remember seeing social media pictures of me being heavy, and I lost some weight, and then I started posting pictures of mountain biking and road biking and all the things that I like to do now to stay active. Truth is, I'm more active now in my 50s than I was when I raced motorcycles semi-professionally, right? I'm more fit now in my 50s than I was in my 30s. And it was a personal thing for me. I knew that I had to persevere through it. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I knew if I did the work, the results would come. I knew that I would be taken care of. I knew that my needs would be met. and I dropped the weight and got to the weight that I wanted. And now in order to maintain that weight, I do a lot of bicycling. And I share that with people, even in my business social media, right? Because to me, I think it's important. If I can make a substantial impact on somebody, or somebody, like I said, people see this, they watch this. And I just had a nice conversation with a young man I used to hang around with in New Mexico a little bit. And he had said, hey, just so you know, a lot of what you post, a lot of what you do is the inspiration for me to move forward and do what I do. That's one of the most humbling things in the world that can happen. I was listening to a video that Jake Valentine put out. I don't know if he put it out I think it was this morning, but he was basically being super transparent and vulnerable about how he had panic attacks in 2017 and how he had to make adjustments to how he worked to grow his business, and how he had to put certain systems in place and processes in place so that he could build his business in a more healthy way, and not beat himself up with just, pure hustle and grind all the time. And that's huge, because that's one of those things where people will see that, they'll take note of that, and they'll say, wow, well, I'd like to be a leader like Jake Valentine. I'd like to have a group of 7,000 people on Facebook that follow me and track what I do. People see the results, right? It's like the perks to price chapter we're covering in leadership in the mastermind I'm hosting, right? It's like people see, oh, he's got a group with 7,000 people. He does public talks. He's got people that follow him. I wish I had notoriety and notability like that. And the truth of the matter is the guy's done the work, right? He's done the work. He's paid the price. He's done that, right? The perks to price method. He's looked at the price and he said, I can make that sacrifice to lead people and add value to them. And then as a result of that, there are some perks that have come along. And so, I think about what Jake said in his thing this morning. I think about the phone call I had today where, a young man's overcome some illness struggles and says, hey, my idea of fitness and getting my health back, a lot of that's based on an inspiration provided by you. Super, super humbling. And I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you're going through. I don't pretend to know what's going on, inside your house, at your dinner table, how your kids are reacting to you. We've got our struggles at home too. We've got a 15-year-old and a 12-year-old, and the hormones and the button pushing and all of that stuff's on point. I mean, that happens. But I'd say now more than ever with this whole COVID crisis, this is our opportunity to just kind of dial things back a hair and just chill. Do a little work, a little introspection, see where people are at. Help where you can. I've been reaching out to a lot of my single friends. I couldn't imagine, being under this whole lockdown thing, social distancing, and living in like a 1-bedroom apartment. I couldn't imagine it, At least at home, I've got Heidi and the kids, and, we can throw a fire in the fire pit, have a bottle of wine, turn on the fireplace, watch a movie. I mean, there's interaction, right? It's part of the reason I started Zoom Night Out. Zoom Night Out is a group I put together on Facebook, and I invited some people to just join me and just jump on. No agenda, not selling anything, not trying to drive my political thoughts down your throat. Just a small gathering of people to have a glass of wine, chill, and laugh and tell some stories. And I thought it was kind of fun. I hope that people enjoyed that last night. I plan on doing that again. Well, this is it. Walking around the neighborhood, chatting to you guys, and hopefully you find some value in some of the stuff I share. And if you don't, I guess that's okay too. But there's a lot going on. I was thinking about the training business, and I was thinking about the people. Mañana No Mas, my company, I already built that to be a virtual thing online. I already built that to accommodate the exact situation we're in right now. But there's a big part of me that just feels like a jerk, to jump online or to call people and hammer them and go, I'm already set up virtual. I can train your people. I can do, this for leadership, this for train, this for, You know, key performance indicators, this for goal setting. We can do, you know, this for, you know, building your leadership team. You know, there's all these things, and there's all these supposed experts online now, you know, with all this content and all these Zoom meetings, and everybody's trying to put themselves in a position of expert. And while I might be an expert in some of these categories, I really don't want to be that guy that's just super pushy. I want to be able to build relationships and you know, add value to people and have a network of people that are truly motivated by adding value rather than swiping a credit card, if that makes sense. And so I've been real cautious about adding to the network or growing the business, you know, at this time. You know, in my niche of working with power sports and marine companies and being able to make training content for those companies, it's been really unique because a lot of them are considered essential businesses right now, and a lot of them are still working, still open, but they have, you know, different states and different rules, right, as far as social distancing, appointment only, curbside drop off, all these things. And I have all these concepts and all these ideas that'll help them grow their business more sustainably and, you know, arguably more successful. But, oh, there goes the camera. But when you're working with people in that regard, it can become a little difficult to try and show that value or to show that ability if they don't see it, if it's not tangible.